Aries, can you hear it? It's not just a faint echo in your heart. It is the sacred call of destiny. Many believe that as the years go by, the fire of Aries burns out. But the truth is the opposite. At this stage of life, the flame rises brighter than ever. No longer the flame to conquer the outside world, but the flame that illuminates the world within. In this video, we will unlock the astrological map of Aries, the sign guided by Mars, symbol of strength, willpower, and the urge to begin anew. And you will see why the years from 50 to 75 are not an ending, but the most glorious chapter of destiny. Write it down right now. I am ready to embrace the fire of my destiny. Because that declaration is the bridge that connects you to the current of energy flowing toward Aries. When people think of Aries, they picture the warrior who leads the way, the one with blazing eyes, hands ready to break every chain. In youth, Aries burns with the hunger to open new roads, to prove themselves with victories, with speed, with fearless beginnings. But in the years from 50 to 75, something shifts, quietly, deeply. Aries no longer runs to prove anything. Aries pauses, looks inward, and discovers that true strength is not in subduing the world, but in mastering one's own heart. In astrology, Mars is the planet of fire, of action. In youth, it pushes you to charge ahead no matter the risk, but with maturity, that same energy transforms into resilience, into steady strength, into strategic wisdom. This is the moment when Aries becomes the torch that lights the way for others, no longer rushing forward alone, but shining so the many who follow can see their path. I have witnessed Aries at many stages of life. I have seen them in their 20s, restless, eager, knocking on every door of opportunity. I have seen them in their 30s and 40s, battling through storms, falling hard, yet rising again, because the nature of Aries is to never surrender. And I have seen them in their 60s and 70s, where the fire in the eyes is no longer wild and blazing, but becomes something deeper, steadier, like a lighthouse in the night. One Aries once told me, "At 58, I lost everything, my job, my finances, even my closest relationships. I thought my life was over, but it was in that destruction that I discovered a strength within me I never knew existed. I learned to rise, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to prove to myself that the fire had never gone out." This is the greatest lesson Aries gives to the world, that no failure is ever meaningless, that no wound is ever wasted. Every pain, every loss is just another stone laid down on the path that leads you back to your highest self. If in youth Aries teaches us how to begin, then in maturity Aries teaches us how to endure, how to stay the course, how to finish the path we once chose. And most of all, Aries teaches us to become a light for the next generation, to show them that courage is not only rushing forward, but standing tall even when every door around you has collapsed. So Aries, if you are in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, never believe your journey has ended. The flame within you was never meant to light only your own life. It was meant to guide countless others who are still lost in the dark. And this is the moment for Aries to stand tall, to hold the flame high in both hands, and shine the path for those who are coming after you. Picture this, an Aries in their 70s, hair silver as ash, yet the light in their eyes burns brighter than any sunrise. No longer strong enough to fight the way they once did, but every word, every heartbeat, every lesson forged in a lifetime of fire has now become a spiritual map for countless souls. This is the image Mars, the ruling planet of Aries, paints in this season of destiny. And it is exactly the image this world is desperate for. Our society is caught in a crisis of faith. The young hold technology in their hands, with 1,000 doors opening before them. Yet they lack a torch to light the way. We live in an age drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. And at this stage of life, between 50 and 75, the presence of an experienced Aries carries a power beyond measure, to connect the courage of youth with the wisdom of maturity, to merge the hunger to conquer with the responsibility to guide. They have stumbled, they have lost, they have burned brightly and turned to ash. But because of that, they stand as living proof that the human spirit can rise again from any ruin. Remember this, ages 50 to 75 are not a full stop. They are a comma, a pause, before stepping forward into a new role, the role of guiding the way. So if you are Aries, ask yourself, What have I learned from the fires I have walked through? What light can I pass on to those who come after me? Am I ready to become the eternal flame in someone else's life? This is not just philosophy. This is the invitation of destiny. And when you whisper to yourself just one word, yes, the universe opens a new door before you. Picture it. One morning you wake to the sound of a knock. You open the door, and no one is there. But in your heart you know, beyond all doubt, the time has come. This is how destiny appears, not with thunder, but with a whisper that no one can refuse. And for Aries in the years between 50 and 75, that whisper is this: become the eternal flame, live as a light that never goes out. If these words touch your heart, write it down. I am ready to embrace the fire of my destiny. Because every comment, every affirmation, is not just text on a screen. It is a sacred covenant you sign with your own life. And if you believe this message could lift someone else, share it, because the light in your Aries heart may be the very thing that helps another soul survive their darkest night. But wisdom and light do not come easily. They are forged in loss, in trials, in nights that feel endless. To understand why the universe chooses the years between 50 and 75 as the golden hour for Aries, we must look at the bond between suffering and rebirth. In astrology, Aries is tied to the first house, the house of beginnings, of identity, of the flame that ignites life. If the first house is the doorway into existence, then midlife and later years become the moment of a second birth. I have witnessed many Aries at this stage. Some lose their life partner and suddenly feel as fragile as a candle in the wind. Some face illness, standing on the thin line between life and death. Some, after retirement, feel lost because the role that once defined their life has vanished. And yet, only a few years later, I have seen them blaze again. This time not with youthful energy, but with spiritual strength. True faith does not appear on sunny days. It is born when the shadows fall. I believe God, or the universe, often allows Aries to walk through deep loss, not to extinguish them, but to teach them how to burn even in the darkest night. For the flame of Aries was never meant only to flare up, but to become a guiding light. We often think strength means not feeling pain, but no. The true strength of Aries is not denying pain. It is daring to walk through it, still holding the flame in their hands. I once heard an Aries woman say, "When I lost my husband at 60, I thought my fire had gone out. But that was the moment I realized my strength was not in whether he was here or not. My strength was in knowing that his soul remained, that God remained, and that my flame had never gone out." That story is proof. Faith does not erase the night. Faith turns the night into the road that leads to dawn. Every time you weep in silence, you may think God does not hear. But in those sobs, destiny begins to knock. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times have you collapsed in the dark, believing you were unseen? And yet from those very tears, Aries discovers a new strength, a deeper will, a fresh hope. Isn't that the proof that you have never truly been alone? In astrology, the first house, the house of beginnings, is the sacred territory of Aries. It is not only about the self, it is about rediscovering life, about rekindling the flame within. And the truth is, between the ages of 50 and 75, this house rings the loudest, because this is the season when Aries learns the sacred lesson, the lesson of a second beginning. This is the stage where Aries begins to see more clearly. We do not live only to conquer. We live to learn how to release, how to trust, how to love, and how to forgive. I do not believe God is found only in grand victories or in the glory of triumph. I believe he is present in the trembling breath of an old warrior, in the tear-filled eyes of a grieving mother, in the small but steady flame that survives the night. For Aries, the connection with God is never distant. It is close. It is present in every breath. It flows in their veins each time they dare to believe that after the night, the dawn will come. Loss and sorrow are not punishments. They are invitations. They remind you that everything is fragile, and in that fragility, Aries learns to love more fully, to live more bravely, to give more freely. I once knew an Aries man who lost his only son at the age of 70. The grief nearly burned him to ashes, but instead of letting his fire die out, he began lighting a candle every night. At first it was for his son. Later, it was for all the children in the world who were suffering. Years passed, and those candles became a sacred ritual. People began to gather in his home to pray. He told me, I lost my son, but I found God. I lost one life, but I found an entire community. That story reveals a deep truth. Sometimes from the greatest loss, Aries finds the greatest strength. And that strength is not just for themselves. It becomes the light that leads others. In astrology, when Mars, the planet of fire and battle, joins in harmony with Saturn, the planet of discipline and responsibility, a powerful transformation takes place. Aries enters the ripest season of their life. If in youth Mars urged them to charge forward, then in these later years, Saturn reminds them it is time to use their strength and experience to build for others. This is why so many Aries between the ages of 50 and 75 become the torch of their community. They no longer live only to prove themselves, but to pass the flame on. They have fought, they have fallen, they have risen again. And now all those experiences are no longer private treasures. They have become gifts for the next generation. One of the most sacred roles of Aries in this stage of life is to be the storyteller, not to glorify themselves, but to remind others that every failure can be turned into strength. Every pile of ashes can be reborn into fire. And these are not fleeting stories for entertainment. They are soul songs, woven from fire, from truth, from hope. In every story Aries shares, listeners find themselves. They find the strength to endure pain, the clarity to stand firm in confusion, and the flame of faith in the middle of despair. That is why Aries, at this age, becomes the keeper of life's great lessons. Their destiny is no longer about battles for personal glory. It is about bringing justice, truth, and light to the community. Every society needs those who dare to stand, who dare to speak truth, who dare to hold the flame of fairness in a world full of shadows. And Aries is one of them. If once they were a lone warrior, now they become a bridge of light. One end of that bridge holds the memories and wisdom of generations past. The other end opens hope for the generations to come. And Aries, tempered by loss, reborn in fire, is the one chosen to carry that sacred role. Picture this. You are sitting at the family table. To your left, your parents, now frail with age. To your right, your grandchildren, their eyes bright and full of wonder. And in that moment, you realize you are the bridge that connects past, present, and future. I remember an Aries woman in her mid-60s. She decided to open a small kitchen to feed poor children in her neighborhood. Someone asked her, "Aren't you afraid your age will hold you back?" She only smiled and said, "All my life I fought to take. Now it is time to fight to give. If my flame can warm even one heart, then I will do it." Years later, those children grew up. Some became doctors, some became teachers, some became loving parents, and when they returned to visit her, they called her the torch that lit their way. I believe that is the truest image of Aries between the ages of 50 and 75. No longer conquering for themselves, but conquering through love, through sacrifice, through the flame passed on. If you are listening now, and you are Aries, ask yourself, am I living to become a torch for others? If your heart quietly answers yes, then affirm it by writing, I am ready to become the flame that guides my community. Because when you write it down, you are not just putting words on a screen, you are signing a sacred covenant with your own destiny. And if you believe this light must be shared, pass it on, because your light may be the only flame that helps someone out there stand again in their darkest night. In this moment, there is a truth that youth often cannot see. Living for yourself is necessary, but living for others is where true fulfillment begins. Aries at 50, 60, 70 knows this truth well. They may no longer run as fast as before, but a single word they speak, a single gesture, a single story they tell, can awaken another soul, and that is the greatest gift Aries can give the world. But the journey does not stop with community. It goes deeper, to the one thing none of us can escape: legacy. What will you leave behind when you leave this world? A house, a sum of money, or hearts forever touched by your flame? In the end, true legacy is not material wealth. It is the light you leave behind in the souls of others. And this is the next chapter in Aries' journey, to discover the true wealth and the true legacy of the soul, not the treasures of the outer world, but the treasures of humanity's heart that you have set alight. In astrology, the axis of the 1st, 7th, and 10th houses marks the sacred path Aries must walk. The first house is the self, the beginning, the first spark that ignites the soul. The 7th house is relationships, The lesson that your flame is not only for yourself, but to warm others, and the 10th house is destiny fulfilled. The peak of your life's work, the legacy you leave to the world. Between 50 and 75, Aries begins to see a deeper truth, that true wealth does not lie in what you conquer, but in what you pass on. Many believe legacy is money, fame, power, but Aries, you know better than anyone. True legacy is the flame you leave in another heart. It is the courage you sow. It is the pioneering spirit you hand to the next generation. I once sat with a 70-year-old Aries. He told me, "My children may sell this land, they may spend all this money, but there is one thing they can never lose. The memory of the fire I taught them to carry within, the fire to live truthfully, to fight for justice, to love without holding back." And he believed that was the true meaning of legacy, because legacy is not what can be stolen. Legacy is what is carved forever, in the hearts of others. Between the ages of 50 and 75, destiny does not knock to take away. It knocks to remind Aries there is still a flame you have not yet given. You may think you have given enough, sacrificed too much, but if you look deeper you will see there is still a word of encouragement unsaid, a hand you have not held, a faith you have not passed on. Aries was born to lead, but Aries was also born to ignite the path for others, and only when you give do you become truly rich. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if tomorrow I were gone, what would remain? Not the house, not the bank account, only the hearts you have touched. How will they remember you? As someone who left victories only for yourself, or as the torch that lit the way for others? I once knew an Aries man. When he passed away, he left no will. His only treasure was an old journal, filled with pages of his fight for justice, and lessons urging his children to stand tall, to defend what is right. That journal became the family's greatest inheritance. They said, he left us no riches, but he left us the Aries soul, a soul that never bowed, never surrendered. So I ask you now, listening with your heart, what legacy do you want to leave for the next generation? Write your answer in the comments below. When you write it down, that becomes the first seed of the legacy you are planting in this world. And if these words touch your heart, share this message, because the light of Aries in you may be the only spark that saves someone lost in the dark tonight. Deep inside, I believe Aries' greatest legacy is courage. Courage to live truthfully, courage to love, courage to forgive, courage to rise again after falling. Others may leave behind gold and silver, but Aries leaves behind a lesson. You were not born to be chained. You were born to open the way. You were not born to fear. You were born to burn bright. And between 50 and 75, as you feel the limits of life more clearly, even those limits whisper to you, have I loved enough? Have I given enough? Because one day when time runs out, you will not regret having too few victories. You will wish you had loved more, given more, forgiven more, and that is Aries' sacred legacy. So give while you still can. That is how Aries transforms fate into the flame of legacy. I once read a letter left by an Aries father to his children before he passed. It said, "I may not leave you great wealth, but I leave you the fire of faith. That life is always worth living. I leave you the courage I chose every day, so you will know that human beings are not born to bow before fear, but to stand tall, to burn bright, and to carry the light farther than I ever could." And I believe that is Aries' truest inheritance. This is the sacred gift Aries enters in this stage of life, no longer a lone conqueror, but a pioneer who lights the way, no longer a warrior seeking victory for themselves, but a torch guiding humanity through the darkness. Aries, we have walked a long road together, from the blazing fire of youth to the sacred years of 50, 60, 70, where destiny knocks not to warn, but to offer one final chance to become the light, to leave a legacy, to live fully in faith and in courage. Allow me to pause here, to send you my deepest gratitude. Thank you for listening not only with your ears, but with your heart. Thank you for daring to face pain and darkness within yourself, and thank you for your very presence in this world is already a gift to humanity. But remember, this journey is not for listening and forgetting. This is a calling. The universe has knocked. Destiny has been waiting. And now, you must answer. Write this right now. I am ready to embrace the great flame of my destiny. When you write it, you are not only affirming yourself, you are lighting a fire for the entire Aries community listening with you. Every comment is a flame, and when thousands of flames unite, the sky will blaze with light. Do not forget, if this message has touched you, like this video, share this video, because light was never meant to be kept. Light was born to spread, so that someone out there in their darkness may find their flame again. Aries, this is only the beginning, because once you step through this doorway of destiny, a sacred gift will awaken within you. The gift of prophecy, the gift of leading through light and courage. And in the next chapter, I will share with you why Aries was chosen to be the pioneering flame for the soul of humanity.